Last week, we had some pretty major RMC news drop on the coaster community. Six Flags Great Adventure dropped the first test run and POV footage for the Jersey Devil single rail coaster. The company also debuted a clonable family-style attraction, which is a big step for RMC. And then Fun Spot America in Atlanta this week announced an RMC for 2022. So let's break down the Jersey Devil layout and talk about some RMC news. Let's begin with the Devil. To start this 3,000-foot long ride, one of the 12-car trains pulls the riders in a single file up the 130-foot tall lift hill. Once the trains crest the hill, they drop down at a near vertical 87 degrees. With the longer 12-car trains, the hope is the back row will really get a pull hard over this drop and get some great airtime. Now after the drop, the ride climbs directly into the first of three inversions, a dive loop. Notice the tight turn radius of this coaster versus the traditional ride. Now, after the dive loop, the ride crests into a straight camelback hill that should really eject the riders throughout the train. After this hill, riders are thrown into a long stall inversion. RMC's trademark hang time filled inversion is sure to thrill any riders before whipping riders back the same way they came in. After the stall, the ride climbs up into the spider turnaround, named after the structure. This turnaround should supply a nice airtime moment off of the drop. After the turnaround, the trains fly through the third and final inversion, a 0G roll. After the train hits the mid-course brake run, which likely will not supply too much of a slowdown, and a decent drop off the flat section. Once the trains clear the blocking section, it'll dip into a sharp turnaround before the ride's finale. Next up is a row of sharp airtime hills. The first two are off-axis camelback hills, then a speed hill, followed by the final hop up into the brake. Now, a quick reminder that this is the ride's first test run and is likely to speed up as it continues to test. Seeing how quick it's running already, I think it has calmed some worries that the longer trains would damage the pacing of the Raptor model. Clearly, RMC has leaned on a mix of the original Raptor clones and their other hybrid elements that they've really done so well at designing. The smaller models are known for their extremely sharp elements and a relentless pacing. I think the turnaround elements really show that here, the dive loop, spider turnaround, and the final cutback. Finding those airtime moments should all be really powerful. It is the one force that RMC has made their bread and butter, and they've really perfected it, even from their early rides. Moving on from the layout, the ride has some okay theming throughout, the best being the ride's devilish looking trains that are designed to appear like they're eating the track. There's also a nice large ride sign and some landscaping that's being added around the area. So it's not much compared to the other 2021 rides like Abyssus or Velocicoaster, but for Six Flags, it could definitely be worse. As my home park, I'm ecstatic to see this ride almost ready for riders. My guess is it falls in as an extremely close number 2 behind El Toro, and it rounds out a very solid top 4 of Toro, Jersey Devil, Nitro, and Ka. Now, moving on from the construction wrapping up, we check in on the concept fresh off the plans from RMC. They've announced that they will now offer 3 clone models of a family coaster with the option to do custom layouts. First idea that comes to mind are the popular Gravity Group family coasters that have popped up all over. Think about rides like Wooden Warrior Quasi, Oscar's Wacky Taxi at Sesame Street, and Kentucky Flyer over at Kentucky Kingdom. Now you should expect these rides to look very similar with some sharper moments here and there, but on a much smaller scale than the traditional rides. Around the 50-foot mark with no inversions, and an overall less intense experience from a company that's really known for pushing intensity. Now I could see some shorter, but really well-loved rides coming from these options. This is really exciting in that it may draw in parks that normally couldn't afford a major RMC or really don't have a fit for one of their major thrill rides. Now, more RMC coasters is never a bad thing, and I could see some of these going into some odd places you may not think about. Maybe a zoo that's trying to experiment and draw more crowds, or something along those lines. And as I wrote this script, Fun Spot Atlanta decided to announce that they will now be adding an RMC to the park in 2022, and it will be the single largest investment in the chain history. Now, in part of the press release, CEO John Airy Jr. said, "We're pleased to be able to provide huge thrills for families and coaster enthusiasts at our Atlanta park." Now, that thrills for family statement makes me think that this could be one of those new family-sized coasters. The chain already has a smaller scale Gravity Group and Mind Blower at 83 feet, but it does have one inversion. Now, this could easily also be a Raptor or just a smaller scale coaster by RMC. Either way, this is a little bit of a shock, but it's overall amazing news for Georgia coaster enthusiasts. Now, it also sounds like this coaster won't be the only ride and improvements coming to the park, but as they say in the press release, it is the first of many marquee attractions coming. Hopefully this means we could see another small-scale coaster in the future and really build up this park that seems kind of bare at the moment. So, one of the more intense thrill machines is opening this year, and a small family-style ride is quite the spectrum for RMC, and now they have a new park chain to work with. Now, I want to hear from you. How good do you think Jersey Devil is going to be, and where do you think the first family-sized coaster is going to go? What's your prediction for what the Fun Spot Park is going to get? If you want more layout breakdowns for the 2021 coasters, check out the channel, and for more daily coaster content, look for Island Coasters on Instagram. Till next week, that's all from the shores of Island Coasters.